Hello everybody, how's it going? My name is Kid Lee, and it's time to take a look at Cygnus Enterprises. This game is a little bit of a mix when it comes to genres and the type of game that it is. You have elements of a city builder, you have elements of a management sim, and you even have elements of something like a twin-stick shooter with RPG-style progression and loot. So a very interesting little game. But here in this video, we're going to jump in and see what this is all about. First, we're going to jump into... The game actually has a character creator, which is generally not something that you see in games like this. So I'll show you that here real quick. We'll skip the intro cinematic. But yeah, pretty just nice little standard character creator. You know, you can choose your male, female options. There's different faces. You have your different skin tones. There's actually a bunch of different hairstyles. We'll just kind of roll through some of these here real quick. Very cyberpunky a little bit. And this is a future-based game or sci-fi based game for anybody who's wondering. But yeah, see, there's a bunch of presets and randomizers and all that fun stuff. Now, something you might ask is, are you actually choosing a class? The answer to that is no, because you actually get to build your class, and I'll show you how that works here in just a little bit. But yeah, as far as the character creator goes, you know, like I said, pretty standard, nothing too crazy. So without further ado, we're actually going to go back, and we're going to jump into the game that I've already got going. And this is where I can show you what this is all about. We'll actually start off with those RPG elements. But yes, welcome to the world of Cygnus. Here real quick, we'll actually hit I, and we'll go over to the overview screen. And we will go over to your character, and we'll go over to loadouts, and then abilities and skills. So how the class system actually works in this game is you are leveling up, and you can then put points into the classes that you see here: security, engineer, science, medical, pilot, and social. So in the playthrough that I've been doing, I'm actually making a pilot class. And you can actually hover over any of these, and it gives you a little bit of info on exactly what that class does. So in addition to those, there's a full skill tree as well. So if we actually go to pilot here for a second, the pilot is actually kind of based on drones. So you can see here, the minigun drone summons a combat drone that deals kinetic damage. So stuff kind of like that. I felt like with this playthrough, I wanted to do something maybe a little bit different than like a standard, you know, scientist or engineer, you know, type class. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty cool system on how you can just design what you want to design, and you are able to essentially like multi-class, if you want to call that. So it's like, I want to put so many points into pilot and medical, or, you know, vice versa. We'll go back to the summary screen here for just a second. So a lot of very standard, you know, RPG type stats. You have armor, you know, HP, stamina, crit, that sort of thing. And this is also one of these RPGs that has many different kinds of weapons and crafting. And with the weapon system in particular, like if you're using pistols or sniper rifles, the more you use them, essentially, the better you get at said weapon. And obviously, a crafting system, if you're crafting a certain type of thing, here, production, research, you know, extraction, you do that thing and you get better at it. You know, very, very standard. As far as your character itself, you have 2 weapon slots. You have a vest slot, a backpack, an artifact, a helmet, and a couple of secondary slots. The game does use a loot and crafting system that's very similar to MMOs, where you start out with something that is like white or gray, and you go green, blue, purple, so forth and so on. So I'm going to be jumping around quite a bit when it comes to explaining what this game is, because as I said in the intro, it's kind of a mishmash of different genres. So there we kind of took a look at the character and the abilities, and we'll get into combat here in just a little bit. But next we'll go ahead and move over to the actual city building aspect. So when you actually start, you essentially start with nothing or one building, and then from there you're able to, you know, gather resources, build more buildings, and you can actually walk into any of these buildings and do your research and your crafting and that sort of thing. You can actually see the mini-map up in the upper left, and that's kind of where I've placed all my buildings. A couple other quick things to note is up in the upper right, there's an energy icon and a money display up here. So all of your buildings, as you can imagine, actually use energy, so you'll have to build stuff like these solar arrays, or I have a little bit of a wind farm back over in here that's, you know, generating wind power. The other interesting thing about this game is as you are, you know, as you're doing the combat, as you're building these buildings and you're doing your research, you can actually recruit NPCs to help you out. So if we go into this building right here, which is one of your main buildings, we have an employee management screen over here. So you can see that I currently have 4 employees, and we have a bunch of jobs on the base. If you hover over a job, it actually tells you, hey, here's recommended traits, and you can actually try and match that up with the NPCs that you have to make sure that the jobs are being, you know, done well. Like I said, this game's got a lot of systems. It's pretty crazy. Not only can you recruit and manage your NPCs, you can actually gear out your NPCs as well. So you probably noticed when I was on this screen earlier, there's a bunch more people down here, and these are some of my NPCs. And they have their own skill trees, their own loadouts, everything. So yeah, you're not only managing your character, but you're managing them as well. So the next question you might have is, well, how do you get more NPCs? One of the other things that you manage in this little town that you're building is it's also a resort town. So you want NPCs to come here, hang out, have a good time, spend some money, and that's one way that you actually get currency. So we can come up to here, and we'll go to the landing pad. And so there's a bunch of NPCs that want to come here for essentially vacation. Even though as soon as they come here, you can be like, hey, do you want to just like work here forever? And they'll be like, yes. So you can actually hover over these guys. It tells you what their preferences are, what their current stats are. So you can kind of go through these different groups. You can also see what their levels are, which is pretty crazy. So we can say, yeah, you know what? I like this group right here. So we'll see the ship they're going to come in. They're going to leave in 4 days. We'll accept that. So here they are. They're landing. I've actually built a little hotel over here for them. So they're going to get off the ship here. Yeah, here's actually a little store. And you'll actually see requests from the NPCs. You can actually trade resources to them. And then over here is a shop. And what's really cool is when you're out and about questing or doing combat, you'll actually pick up things. So you can actually take guns, resources, gear, whatever, and you can put them on the shop for the NPCs to buy. So it's like, hey, NPCs, come to my planet out in the middle of nowhere. I'm literally selling you the finest gear in the galaxy. It's pretty crazy. This is the little hotel where they come and they sleep and all that. We also have a little cafe over here, and the NPCs will actually request specific dishes for you to cook. Now, as I mentioned, you can have NPCs work these buildings, and I do indeed have a guy working this building. So he actually takes care of all of this for me. The only thing I have to do is I have to make sure he has the resources to cook the foods to make the other vacationing NPCs happy. If I didn't have somebody working this building, I would have to do this myself. So, yeah, it's got some very cool systems when it comes to, like, micromanaging and how much help you want to actually, you know, give yourself, so to speak. So I'll give you another quick little example over here. Way over here, I have a farming operation going. And this is another deal where if I didn't have a guy in this building running this building, I'd have to do this manually. So I can come up here, and in the different planting bays, I can say, okay, I want grain or cabbage or whatever, and I'd have to manually plant all these. But again, he's running the building, and so he just does everything for me, which is great. I'll quickly show you the research building. Now, I have a feeling like this tree is actually going to be deeper. But right now, I can only see, like, so much here. But, again, pretty standard research tree. You're getting research points. You kind of click what you want. You know, that sort of thing. Nothing too crazy if you've, you know, played similar games with research before. This is one of the crafting buildings. So earlier I talked about, you know, MMO-style loot and crafting. So as you level this up, you get more recipes, and we'll actually scroll down towards the bottom here just a little bit. So this is actually a blue item. If we scroll up, you get, like, here's an uncommon, which is green. Here's a common, which is like your gray-white. But again, bunch of different kinds of guns, outfits. So yeah, pretty good, solid system. Now here real quick, since I did mention that this was also a building game, you can actually bring up the build menu, and it zooms you way out like this. And this is where you can actually come in here and build all of your buildings. So as you do your research, you unlock more buildings. And you can kind of hover over and see what they require for resources. Again, the canteen, power cores, and circuits. You can also extend out, like, essentially I have an area here with, like, metal flooring. You can extend that out. So, yeah, it's a, you know, pretty solid little building system. There's also another building I'll show you here real quick, and this is basically a crafting for parts. So let's say you're out there looting resources. Maybe sometimes you'll loot a power core or a circuit, but maybe you don't. You can actually come in here and you can just use your spare resources to build things that you need as well. So that's pretty cool. And again, this will expand outwards once you do more research and that sort of thing. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea on how this works. There's also a recycling building here. So if you're getting resources that you don't need or extra pieces and parts, you can dismantle them. So actually I have some raw meat chunks here. We'll get rid of those, and that will actually go to processed meat, which we will then use in the cantina for the vacationing guys. So my recycling guy is gonna go ahead and work on that. I've got some other stuff, but I wanna keep that stuff, so we'll just process the meat for the time being. So he'll go ahead and he'll do that. Actually, research, we should get another research going here real quick. We've got food processing and connections. So let's go ahead and do food processing. We'll get that going, and my research lady will go ahead and work on that. Now, one thing that's a little bit different about this game compared to other games sort of in this genre, you'll notice all the way in the lower right, there's a bar over here which shows the world map and then a 20 to stamina. So if I actually venture outside the base here real quick, there's actually resources all around the map, and I can go around and I can start collecting these. So this is another way to collect resources and just in general do things. But as I'm collecting resources, you see my stamina is going down. So you can only, like, do or collect so many resources or do, like, big event-level things so many per day. So we're collecting this biomass. Here's some fruit. Grab some of that granite. Oh, actually, here's a bunch of ore right here. Grab all this stuff. So we took it down to 3. And yes, there is fishing. Basically, my little bot, I'm just like, hey, bot, go catch some fish. And then he's like, okay, and he's got like a little claw thing. Well, let's go ahead and we'll jump into some combat. I'll show you guys how that works. So we'll go ahead and go to the world map here. One other quick thing I will mention, this game does have a story, and it is fully voice acted. So as we load up the world map here, it's essentially giving us areas where we can do things. And there's actually multiple things that we can do. So right here, that's actually a story quest. This is a combat mission that we can do. This is a resource gathering. And then you also have these, like, diplomacy style missions that'll pop up. But no, let's go ahead and let's jump into some combat so you can see what that's all about. As I mentioned, it's kind of a twin-stick shooter. You know, top-down, isometric. So I am rocking a big minigun, and then I have a rifle. The different classes, as I showed earlier, do have different abilities, and so I have a grenade that I can launch. Looks like that. I have a little dash attack, which looks like that. The game does have a dodge roll system. Your dodge roll is actually either worse or better based on your class. So like the pilot actually specs pretty heavy into the dodge roll, so I can actually do a triple roll before it has to recharge. The other ability that I have is I can pop a shield and call yet another drone. As I mentioned, the pilot is fairly drone heavy. Oh, here's actually... Oh, hold on. Gonna reload my gun. But no, this does not control like Diablo. Instead, I'm using WASD to move the character, and then I'm using the mouse to aim. So apparently we are tracking a giant monster. Let's see what we got here. He poisoned me. How dare he? All the way up in the upper right, you'll see where it says 3 out of 3. Those are actually your clones. And so one of the buildings you can build back at the base is a cloning facility. And the cloning facility is essentially your extra lives. So currently, if I die, I just respawn with one of my clones. But I can only do that so many times. But yeah, sometimes you'll kill an enemy and they'll drop loot like in an MMO. Sometimes you'll run across these little boxes. And that was a bar that we got, so that's a resource. So right there, I just leveled up my rifle mastery. Uh-oh, something sounds angry. Let's pop my shield here. Oh, he's dead. Never mind. Hello, friends. I'm gonna pull out the minigun now. I think they're all dead. We got them. We're continuing to track the big monster. Give me some loot. More resources. I want you to drop a really nice blue gun for me. That'd be great. Nope, more resources. I'm okay with resources. Shield. This guy's got some HP on him. Oh no, we got slimed. Oh god, we're gonna die. This may be the big monster we were tracking. Whoop. Oh, we got him. What'd you drop? Just some resources, huh? So that right there, that was a full mission. So yeah, you basically spawn into these little islands. You just kind of do the mission. You in and out pretty quick most of the time. And that was a like medium difficulty mission. You'll definitely get into some harder stuff that takes you a little bit longer. So that completes your day. So once we go back to the base, everything is like reset. We're able to gather more materials. The other thing it's going to show us here in a second is here it's showing us our daily income, our efficiency, are our employees happy, visitor info. And then this screen right here is essentially what happened at the base while we were gone. So all this cooking stuff was done. Here's how farming is looking. This was our recycling center doing the meat. Here's our research. So yeah, it just gives you a nice little screen on like, you know, again, you were gone. Here's what happened. Here's our level up screen. So the presentation of this game is very, very nice. All right, so we're back at the base. I'm gonna run around here real quick and harvest some more biomass and fruit. Make sure our cook is doing his job. Grab some more of this ore here. Okay, and then I'm going to immediately jump in and show you a couple of the other mission types. So we'll go back to this map here real quick. So one of the mission types is literally just gather resources. So here's one right here. It shows you what you're gonna get. And it's literally like the quickest thing you can do. It's like, okay, gather resources, done. Like you don't have to do anything. You're essentially just spending your day just gathering resources. So it's gonna update the map, and then we'll go back to base. Day 52. I just got an achievement. Look at that. Getting that money. Again, same recaps screen as before. Hey, level 26. So I can show you a little bit how the leveling up works. So we'll actually go back to here. All right, let's go back to pilot here. So I'm working on level 100 for the pilot, and then we'll have pilot done. So I'm just gonna pump more points into that. We'll confirm it. Go down into the skill tree. All right, I could get orbital strike. Call in a satellite strike from orbit to unleash energy damage in an area and inflict burn. We also have a dash passive. Can upgrade my dash. Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll get orbital strike. What the heck, right? And then the next is alpha strike. Gain an additional critical hit chance when hitting enemies from long range. You know what? Let's get that now. Sweet. We'll get towards our ultimate pretty soon. All right, cool. Then here's where you can actually assign your skills. So we'll grab our brand new orbital strike and put it on 4. All right, cool. So let's go back and I'll show you yet another mission type here real quick. And it's these diplomacy style missions. Little bit of like choose your own adventure style deal. So we have the charger problem. And we shall resolve. And so depending on the situation, sometimes you'll have like 2 options, 3 options. I've maybe seen one with 4. But yeah, essentially it's giving you a problem. So a rampaging charger is heading towards a group of tourists. The impact won't be fatal, but it won't be pretty. You have just enough time to push the charger and send it towards a pile of resource crates. And so you basically have an either-or option here. So push the charger away from the tourist, or do nothing and save the resources. So we're either gonna lose a... And so this is one thing that the devs need to change. And this could also be a bug, but I'd like them so I could hover over this, and it would tell me what this resource is. This one is a meat of some description, but I don't 100% remember what this one is. So we're either gonna lose a bar of whatever, or we're gonna gain a meat. Nah, we'll be nice. We'll be nice and push the charger away. See, now here I can hover over it and it tells me what it is. So again, it could be just a bug. I'm not sure. So we'll go ahead and we'll complete our day. All right, cool. But yeah, just overall, this game was definitely a surprise. The game, the deeper you get into it, the longer you play, it has more and more depth. It's got more going on. It has a nice balance of the management style stuff with the combat stuff. I wouldn't say the combat is anything that's super hard. Maybe it gets more difficult in like the later game, but like so far it hasn't really been a problem. I think I've died a couple of times, but it's not like, oh, I'm dying every run or anything like that. Like if I've done, let's say 30 or 40 runs, I think I've only wiped on a run once, and I've maybe died like a handful of times or something like that. But no, a lot of the aspects with the like vacation people and coming over here and putting stuff up for sale and managing all that and the food and the research and those types of items are very, very cool. But yeah, definitely this is a game that I feel like a lot of people don't know about, and I've talked about it before on the channel where there's just so many games that get released on Steam every day. There's gems that get absolutely buried, and I hope that this is not one of them. I hope enough people find this game and play it, and it's, you know, very, very successful. But at the moment, I'd say it's a game that people don't really know about, don't really talk about. So hopefully me streaming it and doing this video will help them out a little bit. But yeah, I'm somebody who plays a lot of, you know, these city builder management style games, and this one is different, and that is something that we definitely need, because I think one of the problems right now is you have a lot of companies that are releasing these types of games, and they end up kind of all being the same. This one is just very different. I can't compare this to any of the other ones because it's so different. So it's gonna make it a standout in the crowd. But yeah, overall, I've just really enjoyed my experience with this game, and definitely be checking it out at launch, and I hope you guys too. Of course, if you can wish list it on Steam, that always helps out the developers. So if this looks interesting to you, make sure you do that. But yeah, for those who are watching on YouTube, we'll wrap up the video right there. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.